Hello, Reddit. I've been doing a couple videos. I did a cure video, TVP, and then I did a beyond video, TvZ. And with the news about Maru and his wrists and his elbow, his shoulder, and everything, and his injuries, I wanted to do a video on Maru before he doesn't perform as well as he should. And obviously in GSL he didn't perform as well as he should. But at the end of this build order, I actually want to go through those games and talk about those games and see what really smart things Maru did do, even though he lost. It was just Rogue kind of read him and played really well. So Maru was playing well, and Maru did well. It just, he got, other than the third game, he kind of got murked. Um, but other than that, he really just got scouted and shut down. So let's look at this build. I did a Beyond build, a 1-1-1 build with battlecruisers into bio last time, and it was Marine first. This build is also Marine first. We're going to stay on Maru's point of view. This build is also Marine first. So I really like it because it's extra greedy, but you're not getting a third command center with this one. Neither was the Beyond build that I showed. You didn't get a third command center. So it's greedy and safe at the same time. With this build, you do get a reasonable command center at around 411 for a third command center, which is fine. You land around 6-7 minutes for your third, and then you take your fourth somewhere between 9 and 11 minutes, depending on the game. I've actually done this build order in Masters on NA, so it doesn't really matter. And I really enjoy this build because it's kind of like Cure's mass widowmine drop build that Uthermal, sorry I forgot his name, Uthermal made really popular, but this is even faster. Your first widow mines with armory are hitting around 430, so you're doing just normal reactor gas, and then Maru scouts, I would suggest just like Beyond, you don't scout. Sure, you might just die to some things, but you'll learn how to not die to those things, especially with the two early Hellions. The thing Maru does is he scouts, and then he doesn't scout with his two Hellions. With its first two Hellions, I should say. So he's going Marine first, and he's scouting, and making his command center on the low ground. And then from here, what I want to talk about is actually Beyond has this so down pat. And it's interesting that Maru isn't copying Beyond. He actually is, in my opinion, unoptimized for the next couple, let's say 31 minute, about his build. So if you're here, you're going to do your command center. That's fine. You're going to do your Marine, and then you're going to get your factory before anything else, because that's the whole point of this build, is to get up a quick factory. I mean, it's the same normal time factory, I guess. You're just a little bit early because you're not getting the Reaper. You're maybe 15 seconds early. So we're getting the factory, and now this is where Beyond, I'm going to recommend you do Beyond stuff, so I'll say it here. Obviously Maru's not going to do it. You can copy what Maru's doing. He's obviously amazing, way better than me, way better than everybody else. But Beyond does this Marine first a lot, so I think he obviously knows the best way to do it. So what he does, he drops the factory, and then he drops a mule, and then he's going to load up an SCV. That SCV is going to build, he's going to build an SCV, and that SCV is going to build your second depot, and he's also going to take his second gas. So it's going to be factory, second gas, and then depot. You're going to have to cut an SCV, the second SCV. You can't make that second SCV to get the depot out in time. So it's going to be factory, gas, reactor, depot, right? Gas,
Command
obviously reactor at
complete.
50. So Maru's going to do similar, but because he's scouting, he doesn't really have the money to do gas and depot, so that's why I suggest do what Beyond does and don't scout. So if you're going to scout, you don't have the money to do gas and bunker and depot and reactor. So what I suggest you do is just follow what Maru's doing if you're scared of scouting. But honestly, I've done this build maybe 6 times now, nine times, somewhere less than 10 times on ladder in the past couple days, and I've only died to the 3-minute the 3-minute roach timing once, and I died to a 12 pool once. And I died to the 12 pool because I didn't cancel the CC because I'm an idiot. And so I lost all those minerals and just GG'd out. I didn't play it out. It was a waste of time. So you're going to get the factory, gas, and then reactor, depot, cutting this SCV that's building until the depot. So you build that after the depot, which is fine. I mean, you're not really delaying anything. If anything, you're getting your reactor and your reactor Hellions up faster. So it's a trade-off. Now he's getting his second gas, but you'll notice his gas being delayed. He doesn't really have the money for factory, or starport and armory and widow mines. So we'll see what he does. See if he fills up gas or if he just loads into gas. Yeah, so he fills up gas instead of rallying into gas. I agree with that. Byun actually only does 2 into gas and then fills up minerals and then does the 3rd into gas. But I feel like putting into gas first is just easier to remember. So you don't mess up. Now these 2 Hellions, so what's going to happen in your games when you don't scout is Zerg is going to realize, hey, there's no Reaper, and most of them, at least in my level, send their 4 Zerglings across the map, 4 to 6 Zerglings across the map to try and kill this SCV and see what you're doing, scouting, obviously. So what I do is I actually rally this SCV back here. This turns into an orbital. You have the money right after the Hellions. And then you just wait to rally down when your 2 Hellions come out, because your 2 Hellions will kill the slow links, because there's no way they can have speed unless they're cheesing you when your Hellions are out. So you get free kills. And then you're going to build another Marine to kill the Overlord, so you're going to have 2 Marines. So I suggest you don't lose this SCV by bringing it up here on your ladder games. Now the interesting thing is Maru doesn't scout with his Hellions. I can only assume that's because he knows who his opponent is. This game is against Reynor. Yeah, Reynor, and this is from the ASUS ROG tournament. So he's going to do 2 Hellions and then he's doing Widow Mine. So this is the cool thing. So instead of doing a Hellbat push, he's doing a Widow Mine. So you're going to want to hide the Widow Mines, maybe somewhere here with a medevac over here. This guy is going to go build the armory. Maru doesn't do that. He's, too smart. He doesn't need to do that. I like the triggers of, oh, my starport's done. I need to build the armory, so I use that SCV. He sends it down to get like 2 minerals, and then he builds from over here because he's a genius and he can remember that. I can't remember to do that, so I just use triggers of starport SCV makes the armory. Now, the Widow Mines plus the Armory are going to be really cool. They're going to hit around 430. These Hellions, he's going to keep his Hellions at home to scout for Zerglings. I suggest you take these 2 Hellions and you go straight here, or whatever 3rd for the map you're on. You go straight, see if there's a 3rd. If there's no 3rd, turn this into a tech lab. Get yourself out some bunkers. You can do 2 bunkers on the low ground. You can try and maybe you can just hold on the high ground with 1 bunker. Up to you, depending on what you want to do and maybe what time it is in game. And then you're going to get Cloak Banshees and some Marines. You could switch that to Marines and get reactored Marines and then get out Hellions 1 at a time. So that's what you want to do. If there's no 3rd, you should see this by 330, 320 if you go straight across. So that's what I suggest you do, because that's your scouting. And then just come back. Don't go in for anything else. Don't do anything else. Just come back home. The biggest thing is you're going to get supply blocked here at 46 because you're going to forget to do this. So one thing you might want to write down is 40 depot. And that depot is right after the medevac, before the armory. So you could do starport SCV makes depot, but I like just leaving him idle over here and using another one to build that, because that's how my brain works. If your brain works differently, go for it. Make the starport SCV, build the depot, whatever you want to do. You're not doing any more Marines because you can't afford it if you want to keep doing SCVs. And you're going to get 2 more Widow Mines and then 2 Hellions. So he's hiding the Marines. He's hiding the Widow Mines, building the armory right after the depot, and now he's just splitting those up, giving himself early warning. Oh, that's funny. Giving himself early warning for any lings, and he doesn't want to go across because if he gets caught with these Hellions, he's just super dead. Those Hellions are super important. Okay, 4 widow mines are going to go out, and he's going to do nothing with the starport and just get a tech lab on the barracks, and he's going to switch and get a second starport. So that's what I mean. This is going to be a faster cure mass widow mine. So the first drop went out at 4 minutes. Because Maru knows Reynor saw this, he's actually going to go up and across. I suggest you just go up here. You could drop one here, but drop 2 here, drop 2 here, and then come back, pick up these 2, and go over here. You can be super fancy and try and pick up these 2 also, but your medevac generally will get pretty low trying to come back and pick these guys up. So it's up to you. You can either pick these guys up and go over here, or pick these guys up and go over here. Same with any other map. Just pick up 2 of them, of the 4, and go into dead space. Don't try and be fancy and try and get all of them up and go into dead space, because then your medevac's too low because of the queens. And you can't really do anything, and you just die coming back in. These 2 Hellions are for safety, and you're getting the SCV, like I said, at 211. This depot SCV makes this command center. Now, here is something I don't suggest you do. You can, if you're super strong and you're better than me. You know, I'm only Masters 3. He moves out with these 4 Hellions, turns them into Hellbats, and tries to kill the Queen on the 3rd. Super great. Awesome move. If you get the Queen on the 3rd, that's you're way ahead, especially when you force him to lose drones, because you have armory here. He's definitely going to lose some drones. But if you lose those 4 Hellions, you're just dead. You can't take your 3rd with widow mines, because he can just end like two Zerglings. I mean 10 Zerglings or whatever, and you're really just producing Marines out of 1 barracks forever. Right? You're doing double factory widow mine, so you have no defense. So I suggest you could scout the 3rd again, maybe dive once if you have the APM, but all my APM is here, and the buildings that Maru's going to do, I don't have enough APM to do 3 things. So I suggest you do what I do, just morph them as Hellbats here and take your 3rd earlier than Maru's going to take his 3rd, because you can because you're not being aggressive with your Hellions. You're defending with your Hellions, so take your 3rd faster. Like get your like Day9 always used to say, you know, get ahead where you came from. Okay, so he's going to float. He's floating this guy to make a tech lab, and that tech lab is going to make the widow mine upgrade, and you're going to make your 2nd factory. This guy's doing nothing because there's no reason to until you start your widow mine upgrade. Then you can make another medevac. Your 3rd gas is going to go down soon, and then when this guy is done, the command center is done, that guy is going to make your 4th gas.
Out of this mess.
Okay, so you're going to try and hit around 430. You're going to get a depot before all this. Don't forget that depot. I always forget that depot in this fly block. See, he's trying to get this Queen. For me, I would lose that. See, he just tries to pick up 2. I would lose those guys to either the Queens or some Zerglings, because I don't have the APM. If you lose those, you're just dead because you can never take your 3rd. So behind this, he's getting 2 more reactors on the barracks. This guy's not going to make a reactor. You're doing single medevacs until this reactor is done, and you're going to swap them, and then the barracks is going to make another reactor on its own. You're going to get 2 engineering bays in your natural, and then a 3rd gas first, so it's going to be barracks, gas, E-bays at the same time, so all these 3 at the same time. 4th gas from this guy. See, what he tries to do is the smart thing. He's like, oh, okay, your Hellions are here. You're hitting me with widow mines. I need to counter you. So make sure you have a wall up. If you didn't build this here, you're dead. Right, so he just picks up 2 and then drops them again. Alright, so don't try and be super fancy. Just pick up 2. Go home with these, because these guys allow you to take your 3rd. Because really, you're producing 1 Marine at a time. You can't defend this wall. Like, you can't push out without the Hellions. Right, it's lone medevac with widow mines into barracks. These guys were at the same time, and then this guy from that SCV. I'm gonna do 1-1. And you're going to try and take your third sometime between 6 and 6:30, and I mean at the very latest 7 minutes. Obviously, if some things are happening, like you're getting roach attacked, well, you got to change the build. This build is pretty greedy. Right, going out. Basically, what I noticed when I went through the build, my own, is every minute. So it's like 5:45 basically, and then it's 6:45, 7:45, 8:45, 9:45. He goes out with 1 or 2 drop ships. Obviously, the later he gets, he goes out with more drop ships. But at the start, it's every single minute he goes out, taking his third around 6 minutes, because he has these Hellions alive, right? These Hellbats are going to take Banelings to kill. And Baneling speed is not even close to done. Banelings are just starting, which is greedy for him. He didn't need to do anything, right? This is good. This is probably what's going to happen. You have Baneling speed on the other side of your map at 6 minutes. You got bigger problems. Which also means, I mean, if you have Baneling speeds on your side of the map at 6 minutes, they're not teching, right? So that's pretty all in. Again, right? You're just going out. You do what you need to kill some drones. I'm going to focus on other things, but this is how you're not going to die, right? You're going to keep them in their base by doing widowmine drops, and then right, roughly every minute, right? Like I said, 6:45, and the next one's going out. This should have been 2 barracks. So when these 2 guys finish building, you take these SCVs and build your next 2 barracks. Everybody does this. I don't know if this is like common knowledge, but I didn't know this, because generally I played mech until this build and Beyond's build. But these 2 SCVs making these barracks make 2 more racks, and you're going up to 5, 2, 1. So 5 racks, 2 factories, 1 starport. This guy's going to switch with that guy. And then you're going to have 5. And then after your 5, 2, 1, you're going to get a 4th command center sometime between 8 and 9 minutes and 30 seconds, depending on how often you have to make units. What's also interesting about this game and Maru's style in TvZ is he goes up to like 90 SCVs. He always goes up to at least 80. Sometimes he goes up to like 86. But in this one, he goes up to over 90 SCVs. And I found in the games that I watched of ASUS and DreamHack, although in DreamHack he didn't do so great, I found that this is because he knows at some point Zerg is going to sack your base with Banelings and whatever, and you're going to lose a bunch of SCVs. Every single time, what he does and Beyond does is he doesn't even try and repair. You just run. Just run. You could try and repair with a couple, but just save your SCVs. That's much more important. You're still going to lose some because of Lings and whatever. They're faster than your SCVs, which is why you go up high with your SCV count early, because then you don't need to replace them. So you're going up to 80 to 90, and then you don't need to replace your SCVs when Zerg sacks your base, because they will. That's what they do. That's what they need to do. Zerg needs to sack your 5th or your 4th, depending on how the game is going, right? And you need to build more command centers to replace that. But until it gets really late game where you have 10 command centers, you don't have enough mules and scans to attack and replace any lost SCVs. So you have to pre-make all these SCVs. I don't know, it's not gonna, that's weird, it doesn't show in the replay, but he's already keeping up with Reynor, which is really good. So those guys switched, you're making, what I've noticed that he does when he's playing against roaches and hydras early. So another thing about these, he saw this, I think around 6 minutes. You know the tech, so now you're going to be going tanks. If you see Spire, you're going to get some turrets, maybe put some widowmines here, and get a Thor, because you already have the army. But you saw the hydras, so you're going to get tanks, and he actually goes up to 5 factories, 4 to 5 factories, definitely 4, and gets a bunch of tanks. So TY does this. I strongly suggest you do this against Hydra Lurker. And what's really great about this is you, with the Widowmine drops, you get to see all the tech. You get to see the timings of the tech, so you can react instead of just macroing at home, being like, oh, hopefully he's not making lurkers. And then you move out and you're like, oh shit, I'm dead because I made Widowmines this whole time. Or I don't have the eco for ghosts or whatever, right? So I strongly suggest just going into factories. which is what he's going to do after he puts down his 3 barracks. He's going to do another factory and then 2 more factories later. Oh yeah, what I was going to say with roaches, if he sees roaches early, oh, he also forgets combat shield to like 11 minutes. It's pretty great. This is done 7:15. You need to click this. Everybody forgets, but 7:15, that's when it was done. Click it. What was I going to say? Okay, so roaches. If he sees roaches quite early, like a dark style, he actually does 1 reactor, tech lab, and then 2 tech labs here with his 5 racks. So he's going to have 1 reactor and then 4 tech labs. And then with his up to 8, he's going to get 2 more tech labs and 2 more reactors and 1 more tech lab. So he's going heavy marauder early because of roaches, and then he's getting more marines later with he's going to go up to 4 reactors, 4 reactors and 4 tech labs, which is pretty cool. So don't forget to do that if you're going up against roaches. Marines, stim marines, yes, sure, they're technically better, but not until you get massive numbers. And then Ravagers are pretty good when you have to macro all over the place, right? Ravagers can kill like 50 marines at a time. So get some Marauders. Don't be scared of Marauders in TvZ. Also, after Combat Shield, that's when you, after you click Combat Shield, start making Marauders. Generally. So around like 7 minutes, you're going to start making Marauders. Does he have a Marauder yet? Did I miss it? No. See, he knows that he technically, I mean, in his brain, he's probably clicked this around 7:15, 7:30, and now he knows, okay, now I can build Marauders because I've done Stim and Combat Shield and it's safe. Right? So basically, as soon as you have Stim, you know that's the trigger to get Marauders, and that's the trigger to get Combat Shield. Don't forget that. Everybody forgets it, though. I mean, Maru forgot it. You can't blame him. So, like I said, every minute you're going out with a drop. This time with True, because you have a bigger eco. So he's going out at 7:45 with another widowmine drop. Getting 2-2, as you just saw. These guys finished around 7:30. And then you're going to get your 8 racks, and he's going to go, right? He already had, like I said, he already got this guy. He got this before the 8 racks. Then you're going to go up to more factories because you're up against Lurker, right? He sees the Lurker den. He sees the Infestation Pit. Because you're going up against Lurker Hydra, you're going to get heavy tanks. So he sees that right there. But I mean, honestly, if you're going up against Hydra, you're probably going up against Lurker. And even if you're not, tanks are really good against Hydra, like Roach Hydra. So it's a great idea to get the factories. Yeah.
Your forces are under attack.
SCV ready.
So we're going up to 8 racks. We're getting our 4th sometime between, like I said, 9 minutes. And the latest I've seen is Beyond do it at 11 minutes. But at that point, you're pretty all in. One thing I really like about this is all you're doing. He hasn't moved out with any units. He hasn't even moved his units. He's just been macroing them. All you're doing is widowmine drops for forever. And it makes you super safe because he has to keep units at home. Or overinvest in queens, which are going to be useless later. They're just going to be dead supply. Are queens supply? I don't know. Well, whatever. They're dead minerals, and they're not going to be super useful. Or they overmake like spine crawlers and spores and stuff, and that's still fine. Like, you're going to get kills because drilling claws is amazing, so you're going to get some drone kills. The only thing he's going to do is he's going to move out with, at around 9 minutes, he's going to move out with some marines and try and deny creep around the 4th. He doesn't care about this creep. Or sorry, 1, 2, 3, around the 5th. He doesn't care about this creep. He doesn't care about Zerg getting a 4th because he's getting his 4th. And he's safe on 3 bases, right? Zerg being +1 on you is fine. But around the 5th base is what you want to start denying because they're going to be mining out here, and so really he's down to 1, 2, 3, 4 bases again. And this is when your mules and your extra CZs are coming, so you want to turn the tide around their 5th. So seeing their 5th right here, that's the go signal. So he's moving out with some creep, just denying some creep. I mean, that was the farthest, so it's the easiest one to go to. And he's just denying the active tumors and moving on.
Command.
He's not trying to fight this. The widowmine, he's hoping for a good shot, but all he wants to do is just deny creep with like one medevac. It doesn't. That's all that matters. And again, he's getting more factories. And here is what he wants. He wants to deny this creep and this creep. He wants to deny creep around the 5th. These guys are going out for another widowmine drop. Another command center. A bunch of command centers. And 1, 2, 3.
Your forces are under attack.
3 factories. He's going to get even more. Like I say, he's just trying to deny creep around the 5th. That's all he cares about. Nice.
Upgrade complete.
Okay, so I think that's as far as I want. These guys again were just to deny creep. They're gonna try and deny this also. We'll see him push out around 11 minutes. Like I said,
Your forces are
yet
under
another
attack.
factory. 4 factories and he gets 1 more. So he's gonna go to 5 factories with 4 siege tanks at a time. Still widow mines. Again, just killing creep and running away. And you're
Mineral
moving
field
out
depleted.
with 2-2. He moves out with 2-2 around 10 minutes to try and deny the 5th.
Unacceptable.
So that's why I like this build. There's no multitasking outside of widowmine drops, you know, as often as you can. These guys you could bring with you and just scan this and see if it's going down. But having these guys here to deny this 5th is really strong, because Zerg is generally going to take both of them and just sack whatever one you attack and then wipe you while they set up the other one. So having these guys here is really smart. That's really high level. That's great. You can definitely do that. You don't need to. You can just come and have a stronger push and try and get here, and try and, you know, kill. But what I like about this is it's not relying on a double attack multitask force of Marine Marauder Widowmine here and Marine Marauder Mine over here, where you have to be better than your opponent like 50 times to win. You're just Widowmine dropping, which is you can get really lucky and just win the game with the first one, right? Or over time, you're definitely going to kill workers. That's not even that many, right? With how many Widowmines he did, right? We lost a lot of Widowmines. That's all Widowmines and medevacs. But it's worth it because you're keeping them in the base. You're seeing their tech, and they can't move out. And you see the 5th timing, and that's when you're moving out with 2-2. And you're just moving out in one big ball. You can bring these tanks too. Not super sure why he didn't. I would maybe have brought at least one of them, because you're going to have production at home to replace them. But here you're trying to deny this 5th, and if you can deny this 5th, you're way ahead, especially with your Widowmine drops. So that's why I like it, right? This is an easy attack to do. You don't need to be super fancy. Widowmine drops are pretty easy to do. You just boost in, you know, drill them in, and then you look away. It doesn't matter. So I really like this build. Next, what I want to talk about is what happened in GSL. So I'm going to make this super quick if you only cared about the build order and Maru's build order. So I'm going to show, it's actually a Beyond game versus Cyril on Pillars. And this is the exact same build that Maru did in GSL Game 1. Was it even on Pillars? I think it was. Yeah, it is on. Isn't it on? Yeah, it's on Pillars in GSL against Rogue just recently. And it's a Hellbat push. It's pretty committed Hellbat push. I like it. I think it's a strong push, but Rogue just sees right through it. So I'm going to actually stick with everyone, and we'll go ×2. So the interesting thing about this build is it's a gas first into no Marines, and then Reactor Marines. You get 4 Marines, and then you're going to get switch and get 6 Hellions and go with so gas first, and go with 6 Hellions as Hellbats with. You'll have 6 Marines at that time because you build 2 more out of a naked barracks. So barracks gas first, barracks. You're gonna get a fast reactor with no scout, no nothing. And the reason this is so effective at this high level is Cyril thinks that it's 2-1-1. And that's what Maru was hoping for. Maru was hoping that Rogue A wouldn't scout his armory, thinks it's a 2-1-1, and undercommits to defense with queens and banelings, a spine, and zerglings. Because this hits, and then of course you're going command center, and then you're going factory. Because this hits around 415, 430 at the very latest. You definitely want to hit that 415 mark. Like you're transforming, I think around 417. So this hits super fast, and if they think you're doing a 211, that hits 5 minutes with just stim. So they could be droning. They could have just done a round of drones when you're hitting, and then they're dead. Now, ASUS doesn't like Hellbat builds, and I don't necessarily disagree. However, I do think that they're strong, and you can just straight up kill your opponent. However, he underestimates the ability to force zerglings, especially without going Reaper into mass Hellion, Banshee, or BC. So you make 4 Marines, and then you're going to switch and make Hellions. This is the exact same build that Maru did. I looked through it. It's the exact same thing. So, also, I mean, Rogue got that scout off. He got the scout off on 4 Marines, but the most important thing, Rogue gets the scout off on the armory against Maru, and he just dies because of it. But I want to show a game where it's not scouted and they don't die because of it. And I just want to show the strength of what happens. So this build is designed to punish greedy play and speed overlords. That's what I think this build is good against. Getting speed overlord, that gas, means they're going to have a later baneling nest, a later banelings, or maybe they're going into hive or something, being super extra greedy. But this build kills a lot of things other than scouting it. So the overlord speed finishes, and you're just moving out. So Cyril's able to see this, and he's smart enough to know that a tech lab just right now means, oh, okay, so it's probably Hellbats. But so you're going to, with 4, you're rallying these 5, 6, and then you're rallying more here. So these guys should rally at home. This is where Maru died. So he's hitting, like I said, 410. He should be able to morph in around 415. That's super scary. Right? This is super scary. What does he have? There's nothing. Literally nothing. Rogue saw the build and made zerglings and did a counter, killed Maru this way. But I think it's a great ladder build because if they don't get the scout off, 6 Marines, that's a lot. That's a lot of Marines. You're going to kill this Overlord for sure. You could get up, and that's a lot of DPS to kill Queens, especially with the Hellbats tanking. You could just straight up kill them, especially with the Speed Overlord. Gas, because he doesn't have Banelings, right? He doesn't have anything to deal with this other than Zerglings, which are still slow. Morphing at 420, hitting by 430. You're trying to kill... Right, you're trying to kill... Unfortunately, like obviously Cyril's really good, and he was able to get up a spine and get up a wall, but you're trying to kill Queens and maybe even end the game. That's what you're trying to do. But really, you just want to kill a couple Queens, save your Hellions, save your Marines, because this is your whole army. You don't have anything other than rallying. You should rally at home for the counterattack, right? Even 3 Zerglings basically killed a bunch of stuff. So Maru's dead right here, because there's in that GSO game, there's Zerglings here and Zerglings here. He's just super dead. But I still think, like I said, it's a strong build. And then quickly, I just want to talk about the Pillars game. No, yeah, definitely it wasn't Pillars of Gold, because the next one I want to talk about is Pillars. Okay, so it was Death Aura. Still a good map to do it, because there's the flatness in the flat bit. It's actually a better map than Pillars to do it because of it being so flat in front of the Zerg's base. Right, there's no ramp that they can wall in like the Evo chambers and stuff. So it's actually quite a smart build. What I want to talk about is this game here. Yeah, so right here, he's able to deny the third for super long, and he forces the triangle. Let's go faster. He forces the, let's do that too for sure. He forces the triangle base out of Rogue, which is really good for a Terran, especially on this map because of these rocks. So Maru is going to see that. And this doesn't really matter. Maru's going to see this triangle third, and his whole game plan is going to be around trying to keep these rocks alive with his Hellions, and trying to get in a good position with a tank push on an early, like a 2-base push to try and kill this third. But Rogue just plays great, and Maru has to go around this way to try and kill the fourth because Rogue gets down these rocks. That's what this whole game came down to, in my opinion, was those rocks being down and not being able for Maru to get into a good position, and then of course counterattacks. Because Maru is probably playing slower and playing hurt. It's the same thing that happened to Byun. Well, I mean, he didn't look as in pain as Byun. So he's going super safe with Hellion Banshee. Third command center at a normal time at 411. Super safe because what he wants to do is, what he should be trying to do is deny those rocks from going down, which is why he's going around and he's trying to get around to kill some Zerglings and force these rocks to stay alive. Rogue obviously knows this and is really trying to kill these rocks. Right, so that Banshee is trying to draw the Queens away to then let the Hellions do their job. But Rogue's having none of it. He's too smart. He's like, if these rocks stay up, I'm dead. So he's losing some drones here, but he doesn't care, because if he kills those rocks, he's going to win the game, which is exactly what happened. So let's skip forward. All right, it's going to be around like it's a 9:30 push. Again, this sucks. Right, he literally just moved out with his Hellions. That happens in game 3 also, where he moves out with his 6 Hellions and then Zerg just gets in the main base. He's trying to deny creep on that side, which would be one of the flanking paths of Zerg, so he does a good job of that. And now he's moving out for his 7:30 push. Stim +1/+1, and combat shields will be done by 7:30. And he's trying to get on these rocks with his tank, and he's already denied creep on this side, which is really good. So he's in a decent position here. But right there, the rocks were just too low health. Right, we didn't get a click on it, but Maru must have clicked on it with his Hellions and been like, there's like 50 health on these things. He can't sit there. So he has to try and come around and kill the fourth, which is he gets surrounded badly on the back end. His tank goes down. It doesn't have widow mines. He doesn't have hellbats, and he can't do anything. And from here, he's down workers, down army, down bases, and he's just dead. Okay, so I hope you like the Maru build. I really enjoy it. It's really fun on ladder to just murder with widow mines all the time. It's super fun, and there's really nothing Zerg can do about it. With armory and drilling claws, they have to stay home, so it's super strong. Anyways, that's my Maru video. Thanks.